So I'm going to talk a little bit about basic gating, and to do that I'm going to get rid of the gate analysis that we have up here by clicking on New, which means that I'm going to create a new one, and I'm going to click this button here, and this allows me to select any parameter and click on any well here and actually change the parameters in here. I could have side scatter versus forward scatter, and in fact all I have to do is click down in the bottom here and I can move those around. I can plot several things at the same time if I want to. So I'm going to go back here because I want to demonstrate something with the JC1 versus forward scatter, and you see here a normal population, and the valinomycin control, which is the positive control, is here. If I link the two by joining those, you can see here's my normal population, here's my abnormal population. And I'm going to draw a gate on here. Very simply go over here and click on the word gate, and then come over here and draw that gate. Once I've drawn that gate, a couple of things happen. Is that gate comes up here, and if I right click on that and I type on here, these are the good guys, then I now have a named gate, and you'll see that this has got 384 list mode files all in one plot, so it looks a bit of a mess, but here's what a single one looks like. If I were to highlight many cells, it would look similar to that. Of course, I haven't quite highlighted all of the cells, but there is my initial gate, and if I click here to swap it round, you'll see that it just moves with that. Now I can create another gate if I want to. If I want to create a gate that let's say is just for my negative cells, then I could do that. Let's make that gate. So there's my negative, so there's my negative JC1 cells. Not that I'm particularly interested in that right now, but that just shows you that I can keep drawing gates if I wanted to. And if I change parameters here to a different parameter, obviously those gates will disappear. And in order to come back to those gates, all I have to do is click up here, and when I click in one of these gates up here, I end up with whatever gates that I've selected down here. So that's the basics of gating, and there are different types of gates that one can make. Of course, one can have histograms, and times not very useful for plotting histograms, but there's again looking at some different wells here. I can show you that this is a negative control, or a positive control rather, and a negative control, and so you see the negative control and the positive control, put the two of them together and you have nice histogram separation. So now I'm going to show you how to do a very quick IC50 curve. If we click over here, I'm doing this to point out the high concentrations of drugs with their dose responses going from column 3 to column 12 and column 13 to column 22. So to make a dose response of a drug, what we do is highlight the dose, and there are 10 points here, so I've just highlighted all 10, and then hit this blue button. And all I have to do is join that, and I have my graph. It's done. So that's as simple as it is to do a dose response curve, and that will be based on this model, and it will be computed under these conditions. Now, should I want to do a second drug, I would do exactly the same thing. I would highlight those drugs, do that, and I would link that, and if I linked that to these cells and I go to graphs here, when I click this one as opposed to drug C, if I click drug D, and that's quite different from the previous drug, drug C. Now, if I actually wanted to put these two together, what I would do is create a plot, and I could join these two together, and clicking on this now shows me both those plots. So you see two plots here. By the way, if you don't like the color, you can change the color by going in there, and then we have a red one and this orange looking color. Well, there's actually an easier way to do this if you have a lot of drugs, but that's the basic way to do it. There's actually several ways. If you have duplicates, you would do that, and that would represent those drugs. And when you join this to here, then basically what you have now is a situation where this drug here is now duplicates. Of course, it isn't, and so it's not going to look quite right. But when I click on this button here, I'll get a nice smooth graph because it's now averaging two different drugs. And of course, if I linked it to that one, I could then double plot this one, and then I have those three graphs plotted. I can actually create this by clicking this button here, which is a drug container, and when I highlight this one, what I will get is a green ring around it, and whatever is green here is highlighted. And then I can go back to my heat map. I can create my drugs, and while ever this is green, whenever I press this button, the drugs that I'm highlighting here, or the dose response curves that I'm highlighting, will automatically go into that box, and you can see how I'm making up a drug container, and I can put whatever number that I want to put inside that. And when I link that through to the graphs, all the graphs are going to show. And of course, if I go in here, I can click on, double click on this, I get this drug box here, and I can turn these on or off. And if I want to change the colors of them, this one is green presently, I can click on that color and make it blue, and so I can turn these back on then. So now it's blue. So that's how I make IC50 curves.